Four-dimensional dynamics cosmology. Summary. Theoretical physics cosmology time as force began to be described in 2008. From the dynamics of the expanding universe, light speed, gravity, mass, time, electromagnetic force, nuclear force is generated. This expanding space is a four-dimensional space. It was an intellectual adventure that began with fumbling. But I thought that I could explain the universe principle, the theory of all things, or the grand unified field theory, in a very simple and unified way. Cosmology Time is Force, which began writing in 2008, is being published on the net while being published. The findings and proposals from the beginning of the research are published on the webpage in a time series format. In 2019, it became the only cosmology that integrated the causes of electromagnetic forces and nuclear forces and encompassed all theories. A singularity problem that could not be explained by the conventional view of space. A quiet Big Bang theory with no singularities. March 4, 2018. Introduction of Egg Field. Material space awakening from the void. In the Big Bang theory of the fireball universe, all logic breaks down at that moment. It is not possible to theorize that what happens from nothing. Nor can we explain the accelerated expansion of outer space that became Nobel in 2011. Therefore, I will proceed by naming the cosmic container region as Big Field. The movie is an experiment of polka dot behavior in weightless space. Polka dots sway in a three-dimensional manner. If this polka dot is the whole picture of the universe, our universe is in an expanding area. However, the area where the polka dots are expanding is also the area where it was contracting before. And the physical laws are considered to be completely different. And the moment of changing direction from contraction to expansion is considered a quiet Big Bang with no singularities. The area instead of expansion from this contraction will gradually increase, so the material space will also increase. In other words, the zero behavior area becomes a universe that expands while acquiring expansion energy and being reorganized into an expansion universe. This is the first time that I have been able to document the structural principle of the Big Bang. The world of the principle of expansion begins in the area that expands in the movement that rises and sinks like a polka dot drifting in the space. There is a zero state in the middle when turning from expansion to contraction. In the zero state, the speed of light, gravity, mass, and time principle disappear. At this point, I think the universe will be completely dark. In this way, it will turn into a contracting universe. Light speed, gravity, mass, time will work in the opposite direction. The feature of the quiet Big Bang theory, which has no singularity with respect to the cosmology that has been constructed so far, is that there is no need to think that the material was condensed into one point at the start of the Big Bang. There is no need to think that the expansive universe has begun by an explosion. You don't have to question the observations of accelerating expansion. A space where expansion and contraction coexist and has no singularity in the physical principle is a four-dimensional space. Our four-dimensional spacetime is one of many that occur in a part of the four-dimensional space. This will allow for a new concept of ether. But the existence of ether is not the basis of our spacetime, but the basics that make up the cosmic container. It is thought that our space-time was born in the expanding area of the universe filled with ether 13.8 billion years ago. Think of this as water containing mineral particles and think that the minerals are flowing in the water with a sparkle. When the water temperature is low, the flow of water is low, but when heated, the water flows. When spots are formed, it seems that the minerals in the water are shining and flowing while shining. This water world is called vague field. Vague field is a space where everything changes. Here, the area that expands, the area that contracts, and the almost stopped area coexist. These are governed by the laws of inertia. I think these three spaces are seamlessly connected, and the conditions of the space are changing seamlessly. Our space principle works in the expansion space, but in the contraction space. Light comes from the sky toward the observer. So the universe is a pure white space and the sun and stars are shining black. Gravity acts as a repulsive force between materials and keeps the stars apart even in contracting spaces. Since mass and time have no direction, they are considered to work in the same way. The beginning of contraction, accelerated contraction, maximum speed of contraction, deceleration contraction, end of contraction. Vague field movement transforms the spatial principle. The beginning of expansion, accelerated expansion, maximum rate of expansion, deceleration expansion, end of expansion. If vague field behavior is a sine wave, the reason why the accelerated expansion is observed is that this expanding universe is still young. The discovery of accelerated expansion was the 2011 Nobel Prize in Physics. This explained the speed of light, gravity, mass, time, and the cause of spatial expansion, which was the last challenge. Our universe exists in a part of vague field. But the physical principle is not unique to our universe, and there is a common principle, law of inertia, in the whole universe. Summary. The speed of light in cosmology. Time is force is a visualization of photons riding on the expansion of the space, and the spots of the expansion velocity around the material and its surroundings are the distortion of the space, and this is considered gravity. And the total amount of distortion of space created by matter is mass. We also considered the change of events due to the expansion of space as time. This four-dimensional space-time dynamics is the subject of this cosmology. We think that the speed of light will run very fast, but this is the expansion of the universe itself, not the speed of the particles to space. I feel that the speed of light exists because we are staying in a space that expands rather than moving. The four-dimensional spacetime expanding in the space surrounding this real universe is recognized by us as the speed of light, gravity, mass, time, electromagnetic force, and nuclear force. Because of the speed of light, the photon separated from the light source in the space expanding at the speed of light appears to be diffused at the speed of light when viewed from the observer because it is directly affected by the expansion. The photons carried by the expansion of space do not need their energy to be the speed of light, so the photons are at rest in the expanded coordinate system. Because of gravity, the expansion of space is continuous from inside the substance to the outer space. However, the expansion rate changes inside the material, and this speed change is observed as gravity and space acceleration. Gravity is not an intrinsic property of matter, but a force of space created from the interaction between matter and space in the expansion space. Because of mass, the total amount of strain in a space accelerating in all directions centering on the substance is considered to be the mass of the substance. That is when the substance moves. The space tries to maintain its form according to the law of inertia, and this force appears as the mass of the substance. In addition, the movement of space that tries to release the total amount of distortion in space is the total amount of energy that mass has. Because of electromagnetic force, three-dimensional particles larger than photons are left from the expansion because they cannot take up the space expansion. As a result, it receives friction from space expansion. It is thought that this charges the electrons and protons in space. The electromagnetic force is consumed as a resistance to external force. But since the charge is constantly charged by the expansion friction force of the space, the structure of the material is maintained as a stable electromagnetic force. Because of nuclear power, the nuclear force is considered to be the electromagnetic force between the particles sharing the field in the microspace and the gravity. So it is considered to be of the nature to be analyzed from the mass field theory of the microspace. The mass field theory of the microspace is the interaction of the electromagnetic force and the gravity generated in the closed space, and we expect to be analyzed in experimental physics. Because of time, the expansion of space and the flow of time are the same. We have the illusion that the change of space and energy due to expansion is a flow of time. There is no time axis in four-dimensional space. This is a coordinate axis that shows the change due to expansion. We are illusioned that it is a time axis that constantly changes events in four-dimensional dynamic space. Four-dimensional space. In four-dimensional space, expansion and contraction coexist and maintain balance. This only dynamic energy has been observed in various energy forms. The energy of our world and the universe is the transformation of vague field energetic energy. Vague field energy appears as various forms of energy, not various kinds of energy. Cosmology. Time is four started from the cause of the speed of light. The 10th year finally reached a quiet Big Bang theory that has no singularity, and was able to comprehensively explain the cause of the speed of light, gravity, mass, time, and spatial expansion. In March 2018, vague field was introduced to explain the cause of the accelerated expansion of space. Also, in February 2019, I noticed that triboelectricity was born from the expansion of the space, giving electric charges to electrons and protons. Similarly, nuclear power can be explained as a gravity phenomenon in a microspace. It is thought that one way of working with one force was originally seen as four forces, the theory of all things. The natural world is very simple when you think about things. When I started writing Cosmology, I felt like entering a vast unknown area. However, I realized that there are very few known principles. As a result of rearranging and reorganizing these, we were able to derive unexpected and simple results. What philosophy and religion do people create if they realize that this world is simple? While writing this page, I read texts about cosmology, but many of them converge on the spiritual world. Every intellectual act is guided by a labyrinth that is intentionally made. This cosmology is derived from known knowledge without fiction. History of cosmology. Newton's Principia, 1687, which describes the mathematical principles of natural philosophy, was an epoch-making math that integrated mass, momentum, and inertia. Faraday, 1831, discovery of electromagnetic induction. Foucault, 1850, confirmed that the speed of light in water is smaller than in air. Before Einstein's general theory of relativity, 1915. The discovery of X-rays in 1895. 1898 discovery of Curie radium. 1900 Planck. There were discoveries about materials and energy such as quantum hypotheses. The result is summarized in Einstein's formula E=mc². In 1929, Hubble observed the retreat phenomenon of the galaxy by rewinding the time. And today it has become the Big Bang theory that started from one point. Accelerated expansion of space was discovered and won the Nobel Prize in 2011. But the reason for this accelerated expansion cannot be explained at this time. Satellite observation technology that has advanced over the last 100 years has made it possible to see the appearance of the universe, and cosmology has entered a major turning point. Hubble ultra-deep field image taken by the Hubble Space Telescope. The observation limit of the universe is confirmed by the observation of cosmic microwave background radiation. 95% of the material composition of the entire universe was invisible, and hydrogen and helium were confirmed to be 5%. It was described as a four-dimensional dynamic cosmology, grand unified field theory that links these latest information. About 100 years after Newtonian mechanics, electromagnetism was born. Nuclear physics was born 100 years later, and 100 years later Einstein expressed the theory of relativity. 100 years later, the four-dimensional dynamic cosmology created a super four-dimensional space backfield that encompasses the universe. Here, expansion and contraction coexist and maintain a balance, and the oscillating energy is observed in various forms. It is thought that the energy of vague field is appearing in various forms of energy, rather than various kinds of energy in the universe. The future of cosmology. Newtonian mechanics can explain the operation of planets in the solar system. Newton was a person 300 years ago, so I don't think humanity was going into the universe. But scientific principles have brought about results that I never imagined. Einstein's greatest achievement was the interpretation of relative motion, trying to describe the principles of outer space with mathematical formulas. Quantum mechanics tries to explain the universe with the properties and behavior of elementary particles. Superstring theory tries to explain the universe as quantum mechanics by replacing the properties of various elementary particles with string vibration. In Big Bang theory, the universe has a beginning and an end. But where did the energy to get started come from? And where did the energy disappear at the end? This way of thinking that things have a beginning and an end cannot be applied to the universe in terms of a biological perspective. In order for the theory to have no singularities, it is necessary to continue as it is, like the law of inertia. The current cosmology is assembled from the precise observation results of each department. But since it is actually subdivided into a wide range of research, it is difficult to make a theoretical overview from a bird's eye view. It is expected that there will be a big leap if we can integrate the academic fields intricately intertwined. And I think that the cosmology in the satellite observation era will be integrated into a bird's eye view by AI that is not confined to the research field, and will be finally clarified. I think true cosmology gives us a sense of unity with the universe. We feel it is difficult because we are lost in the labyrinth of knowledge. This understanding is very important. If you notice this, you can open up great possibilities in your life. Escape from the maze of wisdom without losing power to boring things, and the world of love can be yours. And your world will expand in the world of hobbies. The transmission speed of information in the universe is the speed of light, but the speed of light is very slow at the cosmic level. The distance to the nearest star to the Earth is 4.2 light-years. If it takes 4.2 years for one-way and optical communication, it cannot be said that it is a daily communication level. Although the universe is large, the communication range is only in the solar system, so it does not mean that a large space is recognized as the same world. This is a four-dimensional spacetime. So it is a spacetime between a virtual image and a real image. If human civilization is 10,000 years, information is transmitted only in the range of 10,000 light-years. So it is about 10% of the galaxy. The range in which you can feel the same in the universe is very narrow. In addition, we will go through various stages before the sun causes a supernova explosion. In the era of red giants, the radius of the sun seems to expand to the Mars orbit. In this era, Neptune's moons may be an environment where people can live. You may be able to make a civilization that travels to other star systems using the energy of the supernova explosion. If there is such a civilization, the human race may have come from another star system and evolved until now. In the end, the ultimate goal of evolution may not be the evolution of the body, but the diffusion and conservation of intelligence. So the planetary environment will determine how the body is shaped. Conclusion. Description of the cosmology. Time is force in starting to think about what kind of explanation we can obtain when the structure of the future is elucidated. Newtonian dynamics, which formulates the nature of gravity, can be understood by anyone who has learned. You can also confirming this phenomenon in real life. I think that there are very few people who can understand Einstein's theory of relativity as it is as a mathematical expression. I also cannot understand, but I gained an understanding as I wrote a page about fragmented matter, gravity effects, and time wonders. In the age of Einstein, there is no idea of the expanding universe, so you can imagine how innovative the theory of relativity was shown in that. Expansion Cosmology. After Edwin Hubble, cosmic microwave background radiation age of the universe is 13.8 billion years. Large-scale structure of the universe. Accelerated expansion of the universe. These have been confirmed by the development of precise observation instruments. While considering these observation results, it is believed that the causes of gravity of the light velocity, what is the cause mass of light gravity, has reached a certain view on the structure of the universe, which is observed as expansion as something. Time as force. Began writing from 2008. Initially I fell into Planck time and big number hypothesis, and I could not find the exit. In January 2010 I created a cosmic chart and hardened the image. In this image, I thought that the speed of light was visualized space expansion. July 3, 2010. I also noticed that the acceleration, which is derived from now and is working on the expansion of the space, is the cause of gravity. January 23, 2011. In order to explain the accelerated expansion of the 2011 Nobel Prize-winning space batch field was introduced in March 2018 to explain the causes of the accelerated expansion of the space. Also, in February 2019, I realized that triboelectricity was created from the expansion of space and that charges were given to electrons and protons. I think that the nuclear force can be explained as a gravity phenomenon in a minute space as well. It is thought that the way of working of one force was originally seen as four forces. At present, cosmology based on elementary particle theory and string theory is actively studied, but these cannot be explained in four-dimensional spacetime. Even if it is mathematically beautiful and symmetrical, a cosmology that allows everyone to understand this real world is required. The universe is born of absolute invariant principles and free interactions. This understanding will free us from the labyrinth of knowledge. Thank you for reading to the end. September 4, 2019.